Hey you, so this is a little response to a video by Ashley Mardell, who, by the way, is one of my favorite YouTubers and you should definitely check out. In Ashley's video, Sex Sells, she talks about sexual openness on YouTube and how much is too much. Now, since I embarrassingly have some experience on this topic, I thought we should talk about it. Don't worry, I'm not gonna overshare again. I promise. Also, side note, this isn't supposed to be another one of those self-deprecating I'm so sorry apology videos that I've oversaturated the past couple years with. This is more like a history lesson for the greater good. After all, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So, on the subject of sexual openness on YouTube, you can now learn from my cringeworthy adventures. Yay, I'm a role model now.
Dark squidge.
Now, I make comedy videos, subjectively aimed at teenagers and 20-somethings, which is why it came as a surprise to quite a few people when I started talking openly about sex, especially on my main channel. This happened for two reasons. One, I had finally found myself in a sexually compatible relationship, and two, I was in the process of trying to become more woke, and therefore had lots of ideas about how I could make the world a better, happier, safer, more caring, and equal place. My biggest belief was that a lot of society's problems, be it with sexism, homophobia, transphobia, or even sexual abuse, could be at least mildly improved upon with more comprehensive and easily accessible sex education. Was I an expert in any of these things? No. Was I remotely qualified to educate people on them? Not at all. Was it appropriate for me to do so? Probably not. But did any of that stop me? No, it did not. Not one bit. See, I got it into my head that even though there were already sex ed experts on YouTube, I had a much larger audience and therefore was in a better position to spread the message. So naturally, what I did was I made a video recommending said experts. Right? No, I wrote my own sex ed video and slapped it up on my main channel because fuck it. I wanted to make sure that I didn't royally screw things up, so I worked with both my audience and a number of sex ed experts to make sure the video was both accurate and responsible. However, where I was going wrong was that I'd begun to blur the lines between teaching people about sex and teaching people how to have sex. So after some much deserved backlash, I opted to cut the how-to section of my video and then uploaded it to my second channel. Sure. Now, I'm very proud of that video. I think it did its job really well. Hell, if I could do it again, it would probably be even longer and more detailed. The response was overwhelmingly lovely. A number of people have come up to me and told me that the video helped them, and it's even been played in schools, so yay. I mean, yes, it did cost me a small, very confused chunk of my audience, but I don't regret it, and I'd probably do it all over again. However, this is when things started to go a little too far. I was riding so high on my newfound sexual liberation that I pretty much forgot what was acceptable for an adult with a predominantly young audience to do. And at one point, I even posted a nude of myself on Twitter. Admittedly, only my moobs and rolls were on show, but still not cool, and cue more much-deserved backlash. Then, after the success of my sex talk video, I decided it was time to take this show on the road and opened up a sex-themed blog where I would take questions and even give advice. That lasted a grand total of a few hours before concerned community members were like, "Holy shit, Tom, you need to stop." And I even had the audacity to get pissed off at them because I meant well. I was unhinged. Finally, I topped things off by doing some zero-boundary Q&As where I would answer literally any question posed to me by my audience, putting a lot of mental images into a lot of people's heads. It was only when I was contacted by current/previous sexual partners being like, "Hey, this shit is about me and everyone knows it, you need to fucking stop," that I did so. And even then, I did so reluctantly. It took an embarrassingly long while for me to realize that I, both as a creator and a human being, needed to be more responsible with the stuff that I was sharing. My mistake was in thinking that as long as I was comfortable with it, that it was totally fine. But for one thing, given the nature of sex, the experiences I was sharing were only 50% mine to share. Or 33% in some cases. Haha, threesome joke. I've never had a threesome, they seem like a lot of work. But more importantly, I was doing all of this in front of a predominantly young audience, and that was my biggest mistake. That's when I realized that making stuff online was no longer just about what I wanted to do. I mean, sure, if I had built my audience on a platform of talking about sex, then this wouldn't have been such an issue, but I grew my audience from lol random cartoons. Whether I liked it or not now, I had a responsibility to foster a certain environment without any unexpected or thoroughly inappropriate surprises. And then I went on to tell everyone else that they had a responsibility to do the same and started naming and shaming YouTubers that I deemed irresponsible, starting a bunch of flame wars until I had to take a couple of videos down, and eventually collecting my thoughts and making a more concise video on the topic of responsibility on YouTube. Anyway, that's my thoughts on sexual openness on YouTube. In summation, sharing is A-okay as long as you're sharing with a relatively mature audience who expect that kind of thing from you. You don't pretend to be an expert on anything you're not an expert on, and if you're sharing other people's experiences, you make sure that they're totally okay with it. I, however, prefer to learn things the really, really hard way. TomSka out.
What is that?
That's my new mug.
No, that.
Oh, yeah. That's the hub. Why I can't do them. So that's really nice. And he's nice. Look at you. So handsome.